Shivani brings out Will Ospreay, congratulates him on the wedding, and said he was going to go on a honeymoon, but his wife told him to stay focused on the Owen Hart Cup tournament, and then he smashed her up. You can describe it further if you must.
I can't. He said like it was just like sort of a dirty joke about his wife on national TV, which I mean is not unusual. But I will say, listen.
What do you mean it's not unusual? It's kind of weird.
He's kind of said stuff to this effect.
Okay.
About his wife in the past on national TV. So I just imagine maybe it's a British thing. I don't know.
This was further than Brock went at UFC 100.
I'm certainly I'm no prude. Okay, like I don't mind the comment itself, but I will say, as the first follow up we are having to that very to me, heartfelt interaction of seeing Alex Windsor go into Will Ospreay's arms following her loss against Mercedes in the Owen.
Perfect segue here.
I thought it took a lot of the edge off of the seriousness of that moment from Alex Windsor. I think he needed to comment a little bit on just like how disappointing it was for his wife to set up her comeback, giving her something real to fight for rather than, what was
fuck me wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, tomato, I guess, for Will Ospreay here. Swerve comes out, and he's with Nana, and Tony is kicked out of the ring for having a too tight suit, and he hasn't liked what he's been seeing from Will, says he's changed, and Ospreay asks, do we have a problem? And Swerve says they spent all of 2025 fighting the Death Riders, now you're hanging out with them and playing Booty Boot Camp, which leads to a Booty Boot Camp chant from the crowd, and says you have never explained why you have hooked up with the Death Riders. Ospreay, who has not forgotten any of the angles of last year, has not forgotten nor forgiven the Death Riders, but he had to let it go. Training's going well, my neck is better, my ground game is improving, he says. I wanted to know what belt he is up to. He brings up all the guys that tried to come and save him in the cage attack last year, but he didn't see Swerve trying to help. And Ospreay would have run through a brick wall for Swerve, who he called a brother. Then, as Swerve goes to answer, he knocks the mic down. He doesn't want to hear from Swerve. He says, Forbidden Door is bigger, and it's my dream. When I was growing up, every kid in my class was asked their dream, and it was to kick the winning goal at Wembley. Well, I'm one match away from getting to kick that goal. This is my World Cup, and I won't hesitate to end you. Swerve says he had to listen to Ospreay say last year, it's not our time, it's Hangman's time. And I helped get the belt off of Moxley, and where is Hangman now? Everything we did was for nothing. This guy can't even fight for the title anymore, and he's not going to step aside for Ospreay's path to Wembley. No, fuck that. So let's just keep it clear, okay? Fuck that, no problem. Dickhead, no way. Okay, that's where we draw the line on AEW programming. The two of them, Swerve says, we raise the bar every time we wrestle, and we're going to do it again. You've never beaten me in 10 years, and I'm going to continue to beat you again and again, because this version is not better than me on my worst day with your fragile neck. And this triggers Will, who attacks Swerve. Nana hands Swerve the chain, but the Death Riders are out as backup, and Swerve just shakes his head and tells Will, you've changed. And he left. Fantastic segment that these two had.
This was incredible. This was my favorite thing on the entire show. I mean, this felt like a scene out of a movie that was flawlessly delivered by these two men who I felt like I was watching live theater, I don't know whether these segments are how they get scripted or how they get written, but the logic both men had in their words, I thought was very thoughtfully created and to me quite airtight. Swerve has a perfect reason to question Ospreay's current change in character because he's sleeping with the enemy. Ospreay, I think, nicely counters by questioning. This is a pretty deep pull, but why Swerve didn't help him in the specific moment in that page match to possibly avoid further injury for Ospreay. And I'm sure Swerve had a perfectly logical explanation.
Well, he did. Will even brought it up, was he had blown out his knee earlier.
He did come out.
No, but he didn't come out.
He did come out later. Came out
Swerve?
after Swerve, yeah. He was the last one. Remember, like the smile at the end. So Ospreay is
No,
criticizing.
no. But we're talking about the attack on Will.
No. We're talking about All In.
Is that where he hurt the knee?
So, okay.
Because at All In, he's got the chain. He hands the chain to Hangman. Remember?
Yeah. Ospreay saying, I could have misheard it, but I thought Ospreay was saying, why didn't you come out earlier when I came out? Right?
Okay,
So
he might have said that. We might be conflating things because I think he brought up both these circumstances because earlier he was talking about you didn't come to help save me during the Death Riders attack at Forbidden Door last year.
Okay. And in either case, I'm sure there was a lot of thought put into the explanation. And I can buy both men having that grudge already, but beyond that, the bigger grudge that currently exists between these two is the fact that they both desperately want to enter this Wembley main event. And with Ospreay, I think it's a relatively easy story to tell. He's living up to a childhood dream. He's the Brit who's in this tournament looking to score the goal in the World Cup final, which I thought he beautifully stated using current events. By the way, I thought it was tougher for Swerve to be able to match that level of sort of motivation, and I thought Swerve did a great job here. Like, his motivation is nothing tied to it being in his hometown, but it's the fact that he's had to wait a long time and he's sick of waiting. He's sick of being looked over. He's sick of letting somebody take his spot. And I thought he delivered that incredibly passionately. And I thought this was some of the best acting you'll see in pro wrestling, today between the two. So yeah.
You know what I thought about at the end of this segment? When I threw that party for you right before your wedding in my backyard, why didn't you come earlier? That'll be our feud. That'll be the spark.
Ospreay is saying, if you came earlier, I wouldn't have been injured the way I was.
Everyone's keeping tabs. Okay, that is what is to be learned from these performers. They're very time sensitive. Great segment that they had. And then Ospreay's fuming in the back with Daniel Garcia. Garcia mentions the word fragile, so he puts Garcia up against the wall. And Moxley, who is so good in these segments, says, "Do you feel in control of yourself right now? Or out there? It's just words. They can't hurt you unless you let them. They only use words when they have nothing else." And tells him not to lose focus, not when we're this close. From a man that has never spent a day on social media, his wisdom is wise beyond his years.
Beautiful, really, profound even, he really is coming across like a great, Yoda to Will Ospreay. And it is so pure and almost morally sort of honorable that that turn is going to be so shocking, because just looking at a scene like this, you just think Moxley truly has Will's best interests in his sort of motivation. But
if Moxley gets jumped by anyone, Will better be there right away. Okay, there better be no hesitation or coming out last.
Yeah,
don't give this guy any reason. The month of June on the Post Wrestling Cafe is going to feature 2 editions of Rewind Away. Already in your feeds is a retrospective on the career of Manami Toyota. Plus, we are discussing WWE's WrestleMania 33 event from 2017, highlighted by the return of the Hardys, John Cena gets down on one knee, and Roman Reigns attempts to retire The Undertaker. Plus, we have coverage this month of New Japan's Dominion card. It's an Ask Away mailbag show as we take all of your questions. I will be sitting down to chat about UFC Freedom 250 with Neil Flanagan, and so much more. All of that can be yours at postwrestlingcafe.com.